Hi, I'm Sam, and this is week 4 of The Horror Show. And this week we're finalizing the Insidious franchise by reviewing Insidious Chapter 5, The Red Door. Spoiler alert, this is my favorite Insidious movie. Mainly storyline-wise, because in a few aspects, this movie tries to kind of be like the first movie, but in a different sense, and I would say for obvious reasons, because of mainly who the main villain is. But let me tell you what the story is, though. So, 9 years after the events of Insidious 1 and 2, Dalton is growing up and he's going to college, and life's pretty good. Well, mostly. Dalton's going to college. Josh and Renee are divorced, and there might be a couple other things, but the main other thing that happens right before the movie starts is Josh's mom passes away. So the movie starts off effectively with a funeral, and it's the family at the funeral. So all of that, life's probably not great, but, you know, I suppose it could be worse, in which case, I suppose you're about to find out it is going to get worse. But after the funeral, it seems that as Dalton's going back to college, that the memories, because if you're familiar with the other two movies, the ending of Insidious 2, how they resolve the problem is by effectively forgetting about what happened, by being hypnotized out of it. Those memories start seeping back in very slowly, but very surely, until the memories of what happened begin to come back. While trying to understand what it means, an old demon who has his eyes set on Dalton's body returns to haunt them. They must go further into the further to understand what it all means before the demon takes Dalton's body. And I guess that's how I wanted to go and put it, because how, like, the descriptions for the movie go and put it is, it's not, I don't know, it just seems odd. It's like, to put their demons into rest once and for all, Josh and college days Dalton must go deeper into the further than ever before, facing their family's dark past and a host of new and more horrifying terrors that lurk behind the Red Door. I think I liked my description because this description for the, on the disc, and I'm sure on IMDb, don't really tell you much. And if you know the other movies, it's like, that didn't make any sense. I'd like to think how I put it is the best way of putting the movie synopsis-wise. It was directed by Patrick Wilson, which is his directorial. It was the first movie he's ever made. Of course, he comes back to playing Josh. Simpkins comes back to play Dalton. Sinclair Daniel is a new character. She plays Chris Winslow. And Reese Byrne plays Renee. Or Rose Byrne, my bad. Rose Byrne. IMDb rating out of 56,000 people gave this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Now we're gonna go over mine. So, the story, it's a 10. Sorry. It is. I really like the story, considering how the second one ended. And my big thought process is, you can't just forget what happened. You know, the big famous thing on history is, forget what happened in the past, you're doomed to repeat it. Not necessarily what happens, but, you try to forget what happened, those memories will come back. And for specifically Insidious, that is not a great thing. You might as well have not forgotten and just try to figure a new way to cope with it. But these memories coming back and how they come back I just thought it was really interesting and really artsy. Like how Dalton starts getting the memories back. He goes to college to mainly take this one art class, and it's coming out through the art. Yeah, he's closing his eyes. The teacher's like, dig deep inside of yourself to take out whatever you're feeling deep within. And it's the memories. And he doesn't know what it means, but that's what it is. And then for Josh, it's just all the ghosts he starts seeing, and this one specific ghost that he sees that he ends up, spoiler alert, ends up finding out is actually his dad, which I find really interesting because in the first and second one, they never talk about his dad. So I kind of like that they go and try to talk about his dad, and I think the one thing about this movie is that it makes so much more sense now on kind of what the whole astro projecting, how that kind of plays out, because how they end up saying is like it's father to son, the son to his later on son. So Josh's dad was able to astro project, but everyone thought he was crazy, and he ended up unfortunately killing himself, or at least jumping off of a building. I don't know if it was like on purpose or he just kind of started actually losing it. Josh is able to go in the further, and then Josh's son is able to also go to the further. So it's kind of interesting how like that whole like it runs through the family kind of thing, because you don't see Renee, you don't see Josh's mom, and I guess to an effect you don't really see Dalton's brother, because there's like Josh has two sons, and you only really know Dalton's the one that's able to kind of see in the further. The music is a 7.5. The music's kind of almost always the same, although I would say the one thing about this movie that's a bit different than the other ones is kind of the more of the emotional feeling about the father-son relationship, because it's not really a great relationship. Again, going back in the story a bit, they don't really, well, not that they don't like each other that much, but there's a lot of tension between them since Josh and Renee divorced. Dalton, I guess, is just not really, he's not really liking it. He's not really a big fan of his dad because he's not really there. And I would say it's not really Josh's fault, but it's just kind of how it is. So, beginning of the movie, they don't really talk much, and there's like this one scene when they're in the college, and Josh is helping Dalton with his belongings, going to his dorm. There's a scene they have, and it's like really like whoa, but it's really whoa, and they're like, hey, that I think this is really good, because especially how the movie ends up turning out, it's kind of an interesting parallel. Well, not really parallel, like a journey, right? How the movie starts and how it ends. I think it's a really good positive one. The moral is a 7.5 for me, which I think the music and the moral is just a tiny bit better. The story for sure is better than how I've probably said the other ones. Insidious is the same kind of thing when it comes to the whole religious aspect, but I would say, what's underneath the religious aspect? Family. And this is a father-son type of dilemma movie where they have to figure out how to save each other kind of thing. Although more likely Josh having to save Dalton because of what happens near the end. But still. Cheese, I gave it a 2. I was gonna give it a 1 because there were some moments that were like, You see, I only watched this movie 2 times. The first time when it was in the theater, and the second time for this. And when it comes to the comedic side of it, how the first and second one had Tucker and what was his name? Tucker and Specs, I think. I can't tell right now. How they had them, and they were kind of the comedic relief. Chris Winslow's character is also supposed to be comedic relief, but she seems to be more of a modern comedic relief, like very modern. It's fine. It's not like woke or anything, or at least maybe it's kind of, but I mean, oh no, I don't really care. You know, don't be the main aspect of the story. At least for me, anyway. It's not. Gold, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Because I really like a lot of the jump scares and a lot of the figuring outs and how they end up resolving in the end. Humanity's 10. You know, it's a little, from what I've said kind of already, it's a little self-explanatory why I think it's a 10 out of 10 on the humanity aspect. You know, how do you feel about these characters? And, you know, they're all grown up and they're all, you know, these memories seem to just come out of nowhere. Like, imagine you're just walking, you're just having your daily life, and all of a sudden these memories or these images of things that seem to have happened start coming back, and it's like, what would you do about it? Would you start freaking out? Would you start trying to figure out what they mean? And then the ending is a 9 out of 10 for me. So how they resolve it, the main antagonist of the movie is the lipstick demon from the first movie, and he's trying to take over Dalton's body, and he ultimately gets Dalton locked up in the further, takes over Dalton's body. I guess if there's anything bad about this movie, it's just the fact that Chris's character, Chris Winslow, is like, you know, with Dalton, and Dalton like comes back as the lipstick demon. And like, there's a moment where like it seems like the lipstick demon is wasting no time, or wasting too much time. My bad. Should go and, you know, kill her, because he has so much time, but he's just playing with his food kind of thing. Maybe that's the big point. He's playing around, and that's why it ends up losing, because it's not doing stuff. It's just like but anyway, Josh, how the movie goes about. So as Dalton is trapped and the lipstick demon is coming back into Dalton's body, Josh is now starting to fully understand what's going on. So he goes into the further to go to the dorm to see Josh through that. But when he gets to, that's when he sees the lipstick demon and Josh in Dalton instead. So Josh then goes in the darkness and is trying to figure out where Dalton is, and he sees an old version of the two of them when Josh was saving Dalton in the first movie, and it's the two of them. It's technically him because he's carrying Dalton. Them running away, like, we're never gonna go back, and so he goes in the direction that they came from, and that's how he finds Dalton. And when he finds him, that's when the lipstick demon's like, oh no, he found him, so now I gotta go back in there. And he goes back in there. And as they're escaping the lair, it starts chasing them, and they're able to go, you know, get through the red door and close it. And Josh is holding the red door and telling Dalton that just get out of here. You know, I'm saving you. Get out of here, kind of thing. And Dalton gets out. And when Dalton comes back to, you see, this is painting. He's been painting, and it's the red door. He's painting the red door. That's like the big painting throughout this whole movie. He gets black paint and starts painting over the red door, and it's also painting over the door that Josh is covering too. And so the lipstick demon's trapped in there, is trying to break out, but ultimately does not, because Dalton paints over all of it. And then Josh, on his way back to returning, gets some closure with his own dad, because all he's really seen of his dad is just, you know, a bloodied up ghost. But this time he gets a moment of closure with him, and then he ends up getting back. And how the movie ends is in the real world. Josh goes to visit Dalton in the college and sees a painting that Dalton had just made of Josh carrying younger Dalton in the ending of the first Insidious out of the further. And Josh is saying, I made the wall. I guess I didn't say this earlier. I probably should have thought of saying this earlier. In the beginning of the movie, when they first get to the college, and there, Josh is helping Dalton. Dalton's putting up some pictures of, that he's been drawing or whatever, and it's, of his brother, of his mom, of, the old grandma, but there was none of Josh. So that's kind of like the whole, they kind of rekindled and fixed their relationship, and they end the movie off a hug. And then the credits is a ghost song. It's a calm ghost song. It's like, that's pretty cool. So for me, my rating out of, once you do all the math, it's a 7.7 out of 10. I really like this movie. And sure, I said too much probably about this movie, but that doesn't mean that it's like, oh, yeah, well, I don't have to go watch the movie now. I'm like, dude, go watch the movie. You should go watch the movie. But yeah. Insidious 5, it's PG-13, came out in 2023. And, yeah. So, I guess since we're done with Insidious, my ranking of the Insidious movies is effectively 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And maybe, in time, 4 could end up being better for me, but it's just not right now. I really liked this movie, at the very least for what it was, and as Patrick Wilson's first movie ever directing, that was very good. I think, anyway. So yeah, that's the end of Insidious, but it's not the end of the horror show, because next week, we'll be starting a new franchise, and I'll be starting it off with, I'm not going to say it. I don't know if I said it earlier or not, but if I didn't, then you'll have to wait and see. It's gonna be a good one. I like it. I think it's gonna be good anyway. I'll see y'all then. Goodbye.